Good. I want to say thank you all for being here and welcome to the Art of Learning Self-Love. Today, I am going to speak about the power of the spoken word. I want to start with a couple scriptures, and because this is how I literally came to understanding the space of where we are and what we do every single day. I actually found it through scripture. Reading the Holy Bible every single day of my life for many, many years, I found all of the same information that we find all over the world scattered around, laid right in the center of all of this scripture. So the keys and what we do, the law in which we live, is literally written for everyone to read, no matter what book you pick up, no matter what God you serve, no matter where you're at. It's all there for each and every single one of us. The universe really is in charge, and we all are here on a path that is absolutely amazing. So for myself, what I found I'm going to start with Proverbs. And in Proverbs, I'm going to start with 18:4. The word of a man's mouth are deep waters, but the fountain of wisdom is a bubbling brook. I also want to talk about Proverbs 18:21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat of its fruits. Again, in Hebrews, it reads in 4:12, the word of God is living and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates even to dividing the soul and the spirit, joints and the marrow. It judges the thoughts and the attitudes of the heart. Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. And then again, where we have an understanding is in Jeremiah 31:33. Says, this is a covenant I will make with the house of Israel. After that time, declares the Lord, I will put my law in their minds and write it in their hearts, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. No longer will man teach his neighbors. So one of the things that I have learned is the importance of what I say, when I say it, and how I say it. So a lot of times, we are reactive as just individuals because of life experiences and the wounds and things that we've been through. We become very reactive instead of responsive. It's our responsibility to hold and maintain a self-control. It's not anybody else's. And that was one of the hardest things for me to learn after being abused. I didn't know how to be responsive. I only knew reaction. So redirecting myself and basically reprogramming myself, that's all we are, is a series of programs, because that's how our mind works. How do we perceive things? What is our perception? So what I wanted to talk about was the power of the spoken word. What we speak about is what we bring about. What we believe is what we achieve. The thoughts, feelings, and declarations of what we think, believe, and speak give us the power to create. What we create is the world in which we want to live. However, how often do we find ourselves speaking the things that we don't want and finding ourselves constantly repeating the patterns that we don't like? That's why we're in charge. That's why we have a space of understanding. When I think a negative thought, I only receive the negative. When I think in a positive, I receive the positive. How many times have we begun something in our life where we're off to a great start, only to find ourselves falling short of what we really wanted to achieve? Because we begin with the thought of the positive. We're walking through it. But how many times do we allow other people's perspective and ideas to get in the way, to cloud our judgment? We may have a perfect plan that has been delivered to us. But the minute we step out of bounds by allowing somebody else's perception to tell us what is right, wrong, or indifferent because of their limiting belief system, then destroys the world in which we're creating. We have a quantum field before us. We have a right to choose to build in that quantum field, whatever it is that we want to achieve. But how many times do we allow a circumstance, a situation, somebody else's words to come in and destroy everything that we're working for? And it's so easy because, you want to believe that the people that are closest to you really have your best interest. We want to believe that people want to see us succeed. But if they're not succeeding, they have a negative headspace. And in that negative headspace allows for a lot of torment. And we're stuck reaping what other people have believed upon us and placed upon us. I know far too many times that I probably could have been a heck of a lot further ahead had I not listened to those who were around me. But we all have to go through our process. Everything has a precise timing anyways. So a lot of these things are not always there to destroy us. Sometimes they're there to teach us. And I had to learn a lot of lessons before I could be right here today, sharing this information with you guys. But how many times have you begun something and found yourself completing it because of the fact that you were so passionate about it that nothing anyone else said could deviate you from where you were headed? And that is the part of the why. We have to come up with our why. When we are beginning to set our goals and setting the spaces that we want to achieve, we have to find our why. And our why has to be big enough that nothing is going to stop us. So in that space, when the naysayers that we have in our life come along and say, hey, you're absolutely out of your freaking head, you're crazy right now, you go, oh no, I know what I'm doing, because you're so passionate about it. No, I can see this. Because what did we do? We sat there, we spent the time, we created it within our mind. We could see the visual effects of how it was going to come to completion. We could visually imagine it in our hands. And that's how we achieve it. So what are we creating within our imagination? What is that world that we want to live? How much time are you investing in yourself to know the destination? We have a perfect blueprint of what we were meant to do, what we're supposed to be, written into the very hearts of who we are. It's the stuff we do without thought. It's the things we love more than life itself. And when we're actually living in that space and creating from that space, everything just flows together easily and effortlessly. But how many times do we get hung up on the thoughts? How many times does our feelings not mean and match what our thoughts are? And how many times do our words tear down the very existence of what we're creating? So this is the importance of surrounding yourself with other like-minded people. Why we have Noble Goldman, the very purpose that we have this space, because now we're surrounded by people who actually believe in our dreams as much as we do. So we're not falling short. So when we're feeling weary and tired within ourselves and how do I achieve, we have other great minds to mastermind with and begin developing ourselves in a way that we can actually achieve. Because when you have to, when I have an idea, I have a great idea. When you have a great idea, you have a great idea. But when we come together and blend those ideas, how much further can we take it? The purpose of a mastermind. The reason we all come together, the reason we work, because we're visionaries. Each and every single one of us has a part and a piece to play in each other's lives. What I'm strong in, someone else is weak in. What you're strong in, I'm weak in. You know, it goes both ways. There is nothing about this space that is about I'm better or they're better or this or that or anything else. It's about how do we blend and work together and create the worlds that we can empower and develop and give more life to those around us. So when you are in the point of expression and you're speaking life into your dreams, you are with others who will support the bigger dream and match the energy. So as we're sitting here together with one another, we have energy that's pouring into that space. And as we're all collaborating together, it's growing and developing things in a way that is going to be able to go and impact the world at large. So when we share with those who want to see you win, we win. And that's why we have a win-win collaboration here. But when we stop and we go back to the spaces where we were getting the things that with the world around us, outside of the spaces that are appropriate for us to be really sharing our dream. When I go and I'm standing at the register back when I was being a cashier before I published my first book, and I was sharing my great ideas with every single person that walked past me because I was so excited about it and I had a passion for it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm doing now, you know, because I'm super excited. Do you know how many of those people looked at me and thought I was absolutely out of my head? They were like, what the heck? I don't care what this girl's doing, really. You know, they were busy. They had their own lives. They had their own perception. They had their own dreams that they weren't achieving because they didn't know the steps to achieve it. And then there were those who got mad at me that were working with me, watching me grow and develop, that they became jaded and were because they didn't know how to do it and they weren't willing to hear what I was doing. So a lot of times we want to bring our friends and families and people with us into the next level of our success and the next things that we're doing. And sometimes they can't go with us because they're not willing to see life different than where they're at. And they can only believe is where that they're at. And that's perfectly okay. You still love them. You just love them from a different space. You love them and realize that they can only understand you as much as they understand in life from their own perspective. And I've had a lot of recent revelations in my own life over the last couple months, especially with moving, getting ready to move, with all the different steps that I'm taking to begin my life with Joe, and just a lot of different things that are happening. I'm seeing some of the spaces and places in my life where I thought I had support, when in all actuality, they were limiting me and they were keeping me bound to a space and expecting more out of me to continue to keep them going instead of myself. And when I was doing something, I became selfish. And it wasn't that I was becoming selfish. I actually created a space that was going to allow me to live a better life for myself, and nobody wanted me to do it. So I had to literally just go, oh, wow. It's a lot of realizations in it. When we're on the journey in our success and we are speaking the life into the things that we're doing, we will really see rather quickly how many people do not support your journey to success. And it's okay. You know, that's why they say a lot of times that our journey is lonely. It's not really lonely. It's just, who are you really paying attention to, and where are you staying? Are you staying closer to those who don't understand and have a limiting belief system? Or are you drawing in closer to those who are going to build it, create it, like like what we have with our tribe here? We have people that are going to speak life over us as much as we will speak life into others. Go ahead and talk a little bit on that, Tony.
Which one?
The compassion. That was the one I just saw. The one with here we go. Let me look. Let me see what all you were writing. Compassion can be taken advantage of when others do not do the work.
Well, that sounds to me like what's happened to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when the reflection comes back that you're ready to step into another environment, it's taken very personally, like you're doing something to them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they have been relying on another human for their existence, when the only one who's responsible for your existence is oneself. And that doesn't mean we can't grow, as you had mentioned earlier. We go so much further and stronger together, right? You'll go far alone. There's no doubt about that. You'll go fast. You'll go fast alone, but you won't go very far. So I'm finding what's happening now. You said something too about your work, and it's a very old saying, which makes a lot of sense. Misery loves company. Well, why does misery love company? Misery loves company because it wants to be validated for not moving forward. And so it's edifying, that you see, look at, we're all in this together, right? So it's just another edification, right? Of we're okay just being where we are. Well, we all know that that's a lie, because if it wasn't, then everybody'd be a lot happier. We wouldn't be using the word misery. Right? It's like we'd be talking about other things. But what I'm finding about this space as I've gone on to this on this I guess you call it a personal development, doing the inner work, I hear a lot of the word I'm an empath. I'm an empath. I'm an empath. And I also find that again, is more of an observation. I find that empaths use that as an excuse not to move on.
Being held in the energy,
Yes,
being
very
held.
much
They
so.
will find themselves making the excuse instead of breaking out of the limitation and stepping forward because it's comfortable. Because
It's
it's where
it's fascinating. Yeah, I'm really fascinated by that whole conversation, because I I've learned not to be, egocentric anymore, given my competitive nature in an industry that was very competitive. And I do have empathy and compassion in all areas of life, but I also have an understanding and a knowledge that everybody has a choice to make. You
that's the
are
key.
always at choice.
Correct.
And you can title yourself whatever you like. I don't like titles. We use titles because it helps the other person, helps you communicate with another person, because we've been taught to be in boxes. We have these boxes of titles so that now I can talk to you now, because now I know what you are. You don't have a clue what I am. I'll tell you what I am. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And these titles mean nothing. They were just experiences that I kind of ebbed and flowed through life. But what I do is not who I am.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Oh,
and I
that is
really,
awesome.
and so for me, I really want these beautiful, sensitive souls, to grab their gift, to realize that, yes, you have this gift, but it cannot anchor you into somebody else's energy. Because as soon as you allow that gift to be anchored, it is no longer a gift as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. That was actually a great revelation on that. When talking about the labels, we've got the empath and the narcissist. Those are the two worlds. Generally, the empath is drawn to the narcissist because it feeds each other. It's toxic, but it does feed each other. And, when you look at all the different things in life, what is what we really got to do is get to a space instead of looking at all the labels, the different names and the different thing categories that people, I mean, I could be, am I the round peg? Am I the square, the triangle? Am I this or that? Whatever. I mean, everyone tries to place you in a specific category and what you are and where you go, because it's just easier to divide the masses and put them in a specific label. But instead, what we actually have is an opportunity to follow and realize that we are a spirit. As Tony was saying, realizing that we're a spirit being living a human experience. Here we are going through as a spirit. If my spirit pulled right up out of the top of my head right now, what would happen? I would fall down. Great words by Ruthie. Miss her to death right now. But, here she was. She explained to us, that if our spirit pulled right up out of the top of us, what would we do? This tent, this flesh tent would fall. We would not be here. We're all living spirits. We're all part of a whole collective consciousness that is in individual bodies as an experience, delivering information back up so that we can all begin to help to expand the consciousness all the way around the world. So that the universe has a constant flow of information. We are the eyes, we are the feet, we are the hands, we are the mind, we are the of the world. We're all of it. So when we are part of that, what we have is our intuition in our heart and our spirit. So if we're following our heart and our intuition, it really does put us in a space that we are going to really find ourselves going and being driven by the very blueprint that's written in that space. And when we're living our lives by what we were designed and destined and created to be, because in the beginning, in Genesis, it talks about that we are made in the image and the likeness of God. We are creators. Man and woman are made in his image and in his likeness. And if we're in his likeness, then we are to be like him, or like the universe, like creation. So if that is what we are, then, and that is what we do, what is written for each and every single one of us to be doing? Can anybody on the panel actually identify what it is what they are to do, what is written in your heart?
It's taken me a long time. Just so you know, we talk about this, of course, in Noble Goldman, right? Is to have clarity, right? Is to have this clarity of vision. But let's face it, the fact is that depending on your experiences, right? You're not going to have clarity, because you're going to be solely directed by the environment and the people around you. This is why people are miserable. People are anxious, confused, miserable, angry, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? They're in this negative low vibration because they're doing exactly what is not in their heart, because they're being directed by something else, an external force rather than an internal force. And you will not know what that internal force is until you take the time to get quiet. I can speak on this because, going back to my earlier statement, overachievers, perfectionists, are directed by external forces and labels, right? Unknowingly. I'm not saying that they're consciously aware of it. It's an unknowing thing, because we are directed by our subconscious, which is 95% of what drives the train, the bus, the boat, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So my essence was driven by being an overachiever. Okay, so for me, it's a little bit different. Everybody has a choice. My sister played the victim role, I played the perfectionist role. Right? Same parents, same upbringing. Why would one turn out the other? Kind of crazy when you think about it, right? The extreme, right? But again, it's because we are driven by by our environment. So it just goes to show you that the parents really didn't have that much of a say in it. You're more influenced by, I don't know if you all heard this before, but you know that the number one fear right now is not death anymore?
What is the new one?
Fear of not being accepted.
Wow.
Fear of not being accepted. Hence why we're in the environment that we're in right now. People are going against what they truly feel in their heart because of fear of not being accepted. Frances wrote it in the chat. I love what she said. Love what she said. It was so true, you know, what she said. She said, the loneliest I've ever felt has not been on this journey. It has been when I try to fit in with people who didn't understand me. Right? Because we want to be accepted. We don't want to be alone. It's not in our nature to be alone. But you are alone when you don't really tap into the essence of who you truly are, which is exactly what you were talking about, you know, earlier, that we are not this vessel. We are so much greater than this vessel.
Exactly.
And it's hard, you know, it's difficult, you guys. You know, you're not going to have, getting back to the clarity of vision. I didn't really have real clarity of my purpose, whatever that is, you know, and what does it matter? As long as you're doing what you feel in your heart as you move through and you feel good about what you're doing. If you don't feel good about what you're doing or where you're going, then yes, you need to get back inside and figure it out. Start peeling away the layers.
Which the shadow work can be really hard.
Right.
Most people really run from that. They don't want to face themselves. And the reason why we're in here in the self-love is because we're actually facing ourselves. We're realizing ourselves and doing what's necessary to begin working through the painful experiences and bring ourselves back to a space where we can get heart and soul and might and spirit minded, you know, where we're all flowing together for the thought, the belief, and the experience all together. You know, when,
Absolutely. And so
yeah,
I want you guys to all to know, you ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to know that, you know, when I was coaching out there with these amazing human beings, they're so lost. They're so lost because they don't do the inner work. I guarantee you, if you take the time to just do a little bit of the inner work, the things that Darla shares are so powerful. You know, I stopped obsessing about what my purpose is. I just stopped obsessing about it. Because you know what? My purpose changes all the time, depending on what lights me up. I love what you talked about. Follow your passion, whatever that is, whatever floats your boat in that moment. I feel
follow
like
your
writing
heart
right
and
now.
your
Awesome. Just write,
intuition.
you know, right?
Right? I understand that one, Tony. I have like
Right?
40 something. What is it now? What's the count, Joe? How many books
Right?
do I need to write?
Right. Just follow what feels good. Because I guarantee you, as you're on this higher vibe of feeling good, other things open up because you're in expansion. You're not in contraction,
48.
right? This is why I love that you all showed up today. And I don't always get a chance to show up on Saturday to listen
I'm
to
so
Darla.
glad
But
you're
this is a
here.
wise, wise woman. This is a wise,
Uh,
wise woman. I love you all. Thank you for letting me speak.
I will always open the floor for anyone, because that's what this is about. It's a collaboration. It's everyone bringing their true, authentic self into this space. And the reason why you all are drawn to me is I do not put any judgments. I allow you all to be fully authentic in this space and be who you are. And that is what we need around the world. So when you're dealing with other people around you, remember, allow them to be themselves. It may not make sense to you sometimes, and that's okay. That's who they are. So when we are looking at the fact that we're living by our heart and our intuition, and we really do know the way, it really does pave the way to our success. And thank you, Joe. Thank you, Tony. Everyone. I have so much trouble going back and forth from chats to speaking. It's like two different parts of my brain, and I literally get stuck like in between for a second. So one of the things that I wanted to share today is that we need to begin our self-love and our self-control. When we actually take and create a space for ourselves daily to remember to love ourselves first and maintain a practice of developing self-control. I can't expect myself nor anyone else to go, oh, I'm going to have self-control in every aspect of today. Then I'm going to fall. I'm going to fall short of that, and so will everyone else. But can I practice daily to get better at it so that I can maintain that self-control? We all can. And that's the space that we, once we get that, when we learn to practice the self-control, then it positions us to have a new perception. And it allows us to drop a new lens into the situation and see life a different way. Because now, instead of being reactive, we can respond. And when we are responding, we are then able to meet our situation, the circumstance, the other human who's having a moment, which that's what we all have. We have moments. We live one moment to the next. Everything is always now. And when we actually live in that perspective of living in the now at every moment, then we can truly have full clarity to be able to live our life to its fullest through authenticity and being our true authentic self, living from the heart of love. Because when we are in that space, living in the now, we can develop an idea of 1,000 different stories from our past and live every single one of them. We can create an idea of where we want to go into the future and create them all. And we can go live those experiences out because we have that power. Because we can speak it, we can think it, and we can believe it, and we can bring it to completion. But what are we really supposed to be doing? Focusing right here, right now, at this very moment. And at this very moment, for myself personally, I'm going to say that it's a pretty darn good moment. And if I'm living in this pretty darn good moment right here, right now, that means that it affects the vibration of everything else around me. So when I speak life into each and every single one of you today, I know that this moment's going to take you into a different vibration through the rest of your day and allow you to see life just a little different. And maybe increase the vibration of your day and give you a power within that allows you to create something better for yourself. And that's my hope when I do these classes. So when we live with our self-control, it will allow us to speak life instead of death into the quantum field. So today's examples, I will make good and wise decisions. Could be one of my phrases for the day. Today, I make good and wise decisions. There's my affirmation. Wherever I am is a good place to start. But today, I want to give you this one. Today, I am, and I want you to fill in the blank. And Kim, I want you to go ahead and just speak up, lady. Jump in here.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'd like to tie together a few things that we've talked about so far, starting with Tony saying, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I've lived most of my life as if I was a human being having a spiritual experience. Emphasis on the human. And I was always trying to change, to fix, to better myself. And when I, have come recently to the understanding, to the truth that I am indeed a spiritual being having a human experience, there's nothing to change, to fix. There is the experience of life in all its majesty and all its heartache and all its challenges, all its graces. And so I'm much more open and available to life from that perspective. And then you ask, what's our purpose? I've always known my purpose was love, and it takes very different forms. It took very different forms when I was living from my ego, my human having a spiritual experience. It was still about love. But the drawing card was the human and proving myself and seeing how many people can I love. It was all about quantity versus quality. And now, and it was, I have these big goals, like I'm going to transform this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do that and I'm going to make this money and I'm going to do that. And I see now, for me, this isn't necessarily true for everyone. A lot of that was ego driven. Let me see how much I can prove to myself that I can conquer that mountain. Let me see if I can prove to myself I can be a millionaire, for example. And a lot of that has become totally unimportant. And it's almost like I wake up every day now and say, okay, use me. I don't even have to say the words. It's like, and I know something's going to happen that's going to take me someplace. I just got back from my mom on Wednesday and I got word on Thursday that her best friend passed away. So I went right back to my mom. It's like the universe puts us where we're meant to be for what we're meant to be. If we can let go and allow that spirit to guide us instead of our humanity and our ego. So I just offer that as part of my own learning journey.
Beautiful.
And I am, to answer your question, here for you. Thank you.
Y'all are so wonderful. I love this space because there is so much wealth of knowledge that comes up out of this place with each and every single one that speaks up and shares their story. I started the Art of Learning Self-Love because I needed a journey for myself, because I had been broken so many times in my life. I didn't know where to even begin loving myself. I had no idea the space that it was going to create and allow me to speak the life that I gave to myself into so many lives. It is an honor to be able to sit here and talk and share with each and every single one the journey that I went through and how hard it really was. But the one component in all of it for myself, when I was at the lowest, when I was in my pit of despair, when life was beyond comprehension of why people were so horrific, was how can I show the world the love that they deserve? That was what I asked myself every day. How can I do it? And when I began asking myself that back in, gosh, I don't even know, I was a kid. I wanted the world to love. I wanted to be loved. I was in a world that didn't love me. And I was giving everyone else love. I had no direction. I had no guidance. I was my own source. I literally listened to the wind. I listened to the trees. I listened to the world around me, and I was guided one day at a time. I was the odd child out that, sometimes people wanted to be around and other times they really didn't because I was a little strange. But it made me an individual who stood strong, that it made me like an oak tree of righteousness. It made me stand strong and endure the winds of change, and created circumstances and situations that was able to navigate, and allowed me the space where I could finally see the light and find that shore in my life, and bring me to a place today where I feel loved, I feel honored, respected. But we're all in that. We all have those same situations. Our stories are just different. And when we actually begin to embrace our own personal story, that is the blueprint of who we are. Once we understand that blueprint, it allows us to share that story with others. Our story is what gives others hope for a future. It is what allows others the light posts along the path to take them to the next level. And the greatest part about the journey is realizing that each and every single one of you who is in this place right now, I'm just a light post for each one of you who's going to go further than I have. Because you're here to learn what you needed so that you can go somewhere else and do something more. And just like there are other places where I am that for them, there's other places where I have been and listened to other speakers, but it put me on a trajectory to be right here today, where I can help to influence others to go further ahead than me. We're all here to leave a legacy. What is your legacy? What is your purpose? That's why I asked, what is your purpose? What do you want to leave behind as an example for others to navigate to a space where they can have healing, restoration, and love for themselves, just as you have learned to love yourself? So remember that the words that we speak literally sit on the tip of our tongue and create the life or the death of the very life that we are building. And be mindful and speak life into yourself as well as others. Does anybody have any questions? Dr. Kim, your hand's up, or was that from earlier?
That's from earlier. I'm exiting to go lead the Soul of Noble Goldman next. Anyone's
Yep.
welcome to join us. And thank you for today, and sorry to miss the fountain.
The fountain is, does anybody need the fountain work today? Do you have any areas you want to release and let go of?
I want to go to the fountain.
You want to go to the fountain?
I want to go to the fountain.
Well, I don't always have to do it unless we really
I want to
need
go to the fountain.
We're going
I
the
want to
fountain.
know what the fountain is.
She wants to know what it is. The
I haven't
fountain.
been here.
The fountain is a work that I was given in a dream. What I actually do is I take you into, for yourself today, Francis, because of what you had written in the chat in regards to that feeling of acceptance. All of those areas in your life that you have felt disconnected, not able to connect with those around you, where you felt lonely, lost, and alone. The painful spaces that you actually endured in those moments. I want you to actually think about those for a minute and pull those up to your mind, because you know them all. You know the whole story. You know every single moment that you felt as if you were casted out and away. and it was painful. So I want you to actually think about the fact that that pain, and I want everybody else to do it as well. Take those moments in life where you felt that you were the castaway, that you weren't accepted, and how much it really hurt. And what I do is I actually take you, and I'm going to just, while you're thinking about those things and bringing them up, I'll explain what we're going to do. I'm going to take you into a garden. I'm going to allow you to see a fountain in front of you. You're going to be able to walk up and walk into that fountain. And you're going to be able to walk into the cascading light waters that are going to come down, flow through your crown chakra, through your body, and release you from all of those feelings. And then bring back in the true restoration healing that's rightfully yours. So those who have not experienced, that's what you're going to get to do today. So I want you to really, really think about all of those moments when you were full of pain, when you felt rejected and not accepted, when life handed you the pits of the cherries instead of the cherry, when life handed you the worst case scenario, and it really hurt. This doesn't take away the memory, doesn't take away the thoughts. It takes away the painful experience. It allows you to be healed in that space and given what's rightfully yours. So I want you to go ahead and know that you have that story and you know what you've experienced. I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And bring yourself back to that space where you can actually imagine yourself walking in through the gates, the flashing gates that are opening and closing. And you're able to walk into the garden. This garden is green and it's lush and it's overgrown and it is so vibrant with flowers of every type and every tree. But also, right in the center is a massive fountain. And you feel drawn into that fountain because you know that that is where healing resides for you. That you can take these negative storylines and this painful experiences and the situations that were all so true. But you have a right to step up to that fountain and step up, and step into those cooling, cascading effect waters that are flowing around your feet. And as you're standing there in the fountain, you can see that the waters are cascading down in front of you, but the light shimmering through is the healing that comes in and cleanses you. So I want you to go ahead and step into that flowing fountain of water flowing down. I want you to go ahead and open your crown chakra. Allow that light to come in and illuminate into the third eye, seeing that entire vibrational story of all those moments that you felt unaccepted, full of pain, hurt, confusion, separation, lost, alone. All of those moments of feelings that were painful. Go ahead and allow this light waters to go in and circulate through the third eye, gathering up all of the story that's in your mind. Bring that down into the jaw, into the throat chakra. Go ahead and pick up all that vibrational story, the storyline of every time you've spoken about this, that you've given it life through the negative thoughts and the negative words, but replace it with life more abundant. Go ahead and bring that down into the shoulders, down the arms, into the fingertips, and back up into the heart. I want you to go ahead and let this swirl around through the heart and break away anything hardened within from this pain, this loss alone, down into the solar plex. Bring that light through and wash out any remaining residual storyline that sat in your gut down into the sacral, into the very root of who you are. Because anytime we've suffered any pain, it goes to the root of who we are. Allow this to be cleansed, washed away, gather up the story down into your thighs, into your calves, into your feet, and take the story and push it as far away from you into Mother Gaia, down into the earth, far, far, far into the earth. As it enters the earth and goes all the way down to the core, go ahead and release it, remove it, because it no longer serves. Bring back just the light, bring it into the feet, into the calves, into the thighs, into the root, to the sacral, the solar plex, the heart, the throat, the third eye, up through the chakra, back into the heavenlies. And now I want to go ahead and do allow yourselves to be restored, healed, full restoration to any of that story. Bring in what was rightfully yours from the foundations of the earth. Bring that light back in, into the mind, into the jaw, into the throat, the shoulders, down the arms, into the fingers, up into your heart. Allow this to take and wash and cleanse and restore so that you can feel the true love and acceptance of who you really are. Be confident and secure. Down into the solar plex, the sacral, and the root. Bring that back up through the spinal column, into the cortex, and allow it to restore and reset who you are from the foundations of the earth, that life more abundant is rightfully yours. And then go ahead and release that back up into the heavenlies and be thankful today, because today you've been healed. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes.
You're amazing. I love it.
You got the fountain.
Francis, did you like it?
Lorraine and Sahara, how are y'all doing?
I'm
What'd you
good.
think? What'd you
I
think,
enjoyed that
Francis?
exercise.
I loved it. I loved it. And because my little girl, my little inner child, my little sweetheart, because she had felt all that, me and her went there together, and she was just, I've seen her coming into her wholeness. She's such a beautiful little thing. But it was powerful. It was powerful for us to do it together. She's happy now. I loved
That
it.
is such a joy. Thank you. Oh, Lorraine, I know you were about to say something. Go ahead now.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I enjoyed that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I enjoy what I do, helping others. That's what this is all about.
And I apologize for being late to the meeting today.
I was late. It's okay. I'm fashionably late. I'm here.
Awesome. I'll
Never
report.
late. It's divine timing. Oh, what it is.
I'm still fashionably late. It's okay. I got to do it fashionably. But I'm going to go ahead and stop.